Like, at what stage of your interest in a game do you follow the subreddit?
Oh gosh. Let's see. On a scale from Destiny to Dota,
I think that's probably the high end of the scale for me.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Let's see. Single player games probably almost never.
Okay.
Because you just kind of play through those and are done. I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, it kind of has to be like a service game or an ongoing game, right? Like something you really want to stick with and like that has a lot of arcane systems to dig into.
But then some of those service games, like I'm not on the PUBG subreddit because it's just people complaining about PUBG all the time and it's really a bummer. So like, but like I love the Outer Wilds Reddit because it's fantastic to watch people share the moment that they like unwrapped that game and understood what it was.
Okay.
Like the fan art in there is really good. It's like really like it reminds that and the Breath of the Wild subreddit both remind me why I like those games, even though I haven't played them in kind of a while now.
Well, I might make a controversial statement here. No offense to any Reddit users, but I don't know that I would go to Reddit for conversation. I would happily go there for tips for sure. If I need to know how to do something, that I can guarantee that somebody in a subreddit is going to know what to do in a specific case.
That's probably my primary use for Reddit at this point.
I mean, whatever. I'm sure some subreddits are perfectly fine.
Yeah, like I think Twitch and Reddit and kind of Discord follow the same rules. Like if you jump, or Facebook communities, even if you jump into like a Discord and there's 12,000 people in there, it's probably not going to be a good time, right?
Yeah.
But if you get in there and there's like 1,500, 1,000, 500, 200, probably gonna be fine.
Small communities.
Great. Yeah, small communities are good.
That's the key for sure. God, I got on the OBS, the Open Broadcaster Discord, trying to get some help at one point, and man, I don't even want to get into it. They have the help channels broken out by operating system. And you tell me if this is uncouth or not. Technically, I was running OBS on Windows, but my problem was very esoteric and very technical.
Was it related to the Frankencoder, Brad?
Yeah, it was about how OBS passes arguments to FFmpeg.
Yeah, I bet they didn't have
which it doesn't expose in the logs. I had tried. Basically, my question was, hey, can you enable debug level logging for OBS? And so I asked my question in the Linux channel.
Because you assume that's where the real nerds would be.
Yes, exactly. Even though I was running on Windows, and their standard operating procedure is to make you post your log before they will answer your questions. And when I did that, it revealed that I was running on Windows.
Wow.
It didn't go over well.
Persona non grata over there now?
They were just like, it seems like you're asking your question in the wrong channel. Wow. You need to be in the Windows. I was like, come on, man. Like, so I went into the Windows channel and it was that 12,000 person cacophony. Like, quite literally. I mean, whatever. I'm not trying to denigrate anybody's tech support needs, but like, as soon as I went in the Windows channel, the first thing I saw was like basically equivalent to just, how do I stream game good?
Yeah.
Like, it was just 1,000 miles an hour. People just,
like, my Home Assistant experience lately has been, because I'm still working on that ever so slowly. Like, I go into the Discord for Home Assistant, ask a question, 48 hours later, there's been every other question that's been asked in the channel has been answered, and they're like, no response on how do you enable logging, or what's the proper procedure if you can't get the right Python version for this, or
Is it time to come up with a law for this? The inverse relationship between size of community and quality of interaction?
I think that seems maybe, and this is just a thought, maybe giving every single person in the world a voice, not the best idea, it turns out.
Oh boy, that's talk about controversial statements.
Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod. I'm Will.
I'm Brad. Hello, Will.
Hello, Brad. How are you doing today?
That's another one of these AM recordings. Got the morning voice going.
I like the morning voice. I like this is before I'm all scratchy and tired. I don't have I haven't been talking for 6 hours yet today. Yeah.
I just got some good sneezes out, so I'm all ready to got the acoustics are all opened up in here. Ready to talk.
It's funny. Gina and I have exactly the opposite problems because by the end of the day, I'm just done talking. And by the end of the day, she's desperate to talk to another adult human.
Sure.
And it ends up being like a considerable source of stress. But a couple of things. One, she started doing a thing that requires regular conference calls. And two, we started doing like game night on Saturday night. And at the end of that, she's like, I don't know how you do this all day. You just sit here talking all day long. Just talk.
Sounds so easy till you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Talking for a living, man. I don't know if you have like an hour count, but I feel like past like 3-4 hours of talking a day, it start feeling pretty strained.
For
down
me,
in the vocal cords.
Oh, so I went to physical therapy for my vocal cords a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was maybe the best thing I've ever done because I remember I used to talk to you and Jeff about that, like about when you go too long, you start to get like tight, like your voice box would get tight. And she gave, the voice therapist gave me a bunch of exercises and stuff to do to both strengthen up the muscles and to prevent them from like tensing up and clenching up so they don't get in that bad spot anyway.
Okay, here we go. Me.
No, dude. It's you gotta massage the muscles that hold your trachea to your voice box.
What?
Yeah. So there's
Hang on, I'm trying this right now as I talk. I don't think it's working. I don't think it's. Is this an ASMR podcast now?
Hello. Welcome to the Big Bag of Nuts.
Whoa.
Scratch.
What have I gotten myself into? It's too
Do you
early
not know the Big Bag of Nuts?
I don't. What are we even talking about?
Oh, the Big Bag of Nuts is one of my favorite goofy YouTube videos. It's just a big canvas sack of like peanuts. And there's this woman with long fingernails who just scratches the canvas because it's like rough and it makes ASMR sounds that I still don't understand that one. I think I'm too old for that shit.
It's right there in the name.
Yeah.
They delivered as advertised.
Yep.
Scratching a big bag of nuts.
Scratching a big bag of nuts.
Great. What are we talking about today? What's the agenda?
It's been a rough couple of weeks, man.
Yeah.
I don't like, we talked about this last week some about not wanting to really record a podcast because it didn't like,
or more to the point, like just our usual fare feeling kind of trivial.
Yeah, that I think that's like inconsequential. It felt weird to make inconsequential bullshit.
Yes.
Not that this is inconsequential bullshit, but in the greater scheme, it's inconsequential bullshit.
It is. No, we can be honest with ourselves.
And like at the same time, this is going to go up on the 100th day that I've been in quarantine now.
Wow.
Gina and I were talking about it the other day, and like we haven't been in another building since March 6th.
Oh my God. Holy wow, you guys are really going at it.
And we have other stuff going on. So
what was your okay, that's fair. What was your start date?
March 6th.
March 6th. Okay. I want to say
you were, I think, a weekish later, maybe.
Well, about that. We were clicking through the calendar here. March 11th was our first day not going into the office.
Yeah.
But like I was in a grocery store 3 days ago.
Yeah,
I've been in doctor's offices and
stuff
like that. I'm trying to think. I've been doing pretty well. Obviously, my girlfriend is a frontline healthcare worker and is fully out there and exposed. So that's been a thing, of course. But you guys are committed.
Well, it's I mean, not exactly by choice. The thing that
like that's a long stretch. I could see a bit of stir craziness maybe setting in.
Well, there's a weird. The thing that I realized has happened in the last couple of weeks, as we were talking before the show, is that the things that I was doing and that we were all doing here to kind of keep ourselves fully sane slipped off in the last month of school when we were kind of getting through that stuff. And like we stopped going on as many walks because there were too many people out and stuff like that. And so now we're just here all the time. And I got to figure out better ways to manage my quarantine time. I need to get back to doing VR games that are like exercisey games and stuff like that.
I've got some ideas.
See some more sun.
Yeah. Does the research or the common wisdom that seems to be emerging about outdoor transmission rates help make you feel any better at all? Like it sounds like transmitting the virus outside is very, very difficult.
Well, especially if you're wearing any kind of mask at all, it seems like.
Well, I mean, literal outdoors, like in the outdoors with proper
just
like air, like for exercise and stuff.
Like because it's droplet based. Like we're not going to run through a cloud of spit from somebody else and be.
Well, I mean, I guess different areas are different, but like especially around here, there's so much wind.
Yeah.
Being right next to the water, like it's just hard to imagine that it doesn't disperse almost instantly with the kind of air currents that you get outside.
That's a nice thought.
Call me the Eternal Optimist.
I often think that about you, Brad. Yeah, I mean, the problem we have here is that a lot of people aren't wearing masks, especially when they're exercising and stuff. And the sidewalks are narrow. And like we have when I've been out on walks before, we've had literal traffic jams where in order to stay appropriate distance from somebody, you have to just stop and wait while like people are chatting at the front of the line or whatever. And
yeah, I mean that even feels like the kind of thing that maybe erodes the social contract ever so slightly, like the way you have to act around people to not go near them. It looks very standoffish, right? Like there's no way to not appear sort of paranoid and distrustful when you're trying to like edge around people without going near them,
or like you go stand in somebody's driveway and wait for them to pass. While it's just 10 feet away. Yeah,
like on its face, it's just very oddball type behavior, even though it's necessary. And like, point being, like it doesn't lend itself to a sense of community. When you're visibly trying to keep your distance from everyone.
Well, and I have to do something about the beard because like wearing a mask with the beard.
Oh, well, okay.
Makes
There's a functional reason.
Really fucking well. A, the mask doesn't work very well, but B, it makes you look really dumb after you take the mask off because the beard gets pushed back under the mask, and then you have like a weird like dwarven swoosh there. It's not good. It's not a good look.
What if you just made a mask that fully accommodated the volume of the beard?
This was my question.
I mean,
nobody does this.
At this point, it would be like a full burlap sack. But
I'd like need like a little canvas cone for my face hair.
I'm gonna make a proposal here.
Okay.
For everyone such as yourself, I know a couple other people who have been growing pretty impressive beards, quarantine beards.
Yeah.
As someone who also is growing their hair out. Could sort of committedly at this point.
I've seen Anime Brad before.
What if we all just keep it?
Just never stop?
What if when things go back to normal, we don't get rid of it?
I have a kind of important meeting in a week or two. I think I have to do something with mine so they don't accidentally hire a hobo.
All right, fine.
I know.
Fine. Yeah, I don't know that we don't have like a very directed agenda for this week's episode other than, things have been pretty rotten. It's the best word I can come up with the last few weeks.
PS5, they did a good thing yesterday. It seemed like that was nice. That was a nice distraction.
The more I think about the look of that thing, the less I like it.
Oh, I like the way it looks. I like its Georgia O'Keefeness. I like the kind of like I like the two-tone nature of the thing. I couldn't tell which way the triggers on the controller go, if they're PS4 style concave or PS3 style convex.
They look like they split the difference, I think.
So they're just kind of straight.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I just don't want them to go back to PS3. So like I thought that was fine. I thought that was nice. It was nice to see that Ratchet game and see them using the crazy fast loads.
Yeah.
Like
that game very much was like, here's our technical showpiece that actually tries to get across some of what this thing can do.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That said, like every game I saw in that presentation that I'm really interested in playing was like a multi-platform indie game.
That Deathloop,
fine.
Was it Deathloop? That game looks dope.
Yes.
Phil Tibbs's game looks the real weird and good.
Bug snacks.
It's always a weird thing watching people talk, like watching those new releases and then seeing people's reaction to them from like 45 seconds or a minute and a half or 2 minutes of at least they were showing gameplay. So props to PlayStation for showing some gameplay.
Yeah.
Like seeing fandom arise. That's why I was thinking about Reddit yesterday. Is like seeing fandom arise from a 45-second snippet of in-game footage. And like, I was like, I wonder if there's a Reddit for the Deathloop game now. And probably there is.
I wonder if there's a Reddit for Bug Snacks. I need to know. P-Tibbs, if you're listening, fucking way into Bug Snacks.
You gotta get on top of that stuff before the game's out.
Somebody already got there.
I'm sure it was them, don't you think?
Maybe, I don't know. It is full of memes. It's extremely full of memes.
That sounds great.
People seem to be into bug snacks. I'm into. I said it before. It's been a while. It's been a while since the union of animals and food bore fruit. Not
Literally bore fruit.
Not since Cinemonkeys and Fudge Hogs have we. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your coping strategies, Brad? You seem to be doing better than me.
Oh, dude, it's quite an assumption on your part.
Well, you know, I think it's a week by week thing. Probably.
I do my best to put on a good front. Let's say.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah. Fronting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I try to hew a little too closely to the mission statement of this podcast and make everything tech related, but I do have some apps and some gadgets that tie into this.
Ooh,
topic.
An app for every. There's an app for that. Is that what you're saying?
There could, yes. There very well could be an app.
There's an app for crippling quarantine depression. Okay, great. Let's.
Oh, dude, there have to be some Valley VC has to be funding some opportunistic like. Well, there has to be a cottage industry of quarantine apps popping up at this point, right?
I mean, there's that campfire thing that's like chat rooms with it's like a Discord but all video.
Huh.
There's all of the meditation apps that I've ever had on my phone sent me an email to let me know that they were free during the Rona, which was nice.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, crap. Meditation app is one of the things I was going to talk about here, but maybe that's old hat at this point.
No, if you have one you like, I'm into it. All of them I've ever tried, I found kind of like I was better off just sitting quietly by myself listening to some like weird new age music or something.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I guess it depends on how different people want to engage with that sort of thing. Hang on, let me open up my iPad here real fast. I mean, the different categories to me are meditation is good, exercise is good, blue light is good.
Okay, blue light, really?
Blue light,
like at Kmart?
Yes. Not that kind of. Well, you know what? Getting a good deal does make you pretty happy, right?
Yes.
You jump on the right blue light special, and your day is made.
Look, man, one time I got a bag of Rolos for 69 cents. I was really excited.
That's incredible. It's a deal of the century. Yeah, like I don't know a lot about the clinical aspect of this, but it was recommended to me by a professional. But there are devices out there. I've got a Philips one. I don't know who else might even make them, but if you Google Philips, you know, like the are they Scandinavian? The light company.
Philips.
You know, everybody knows Philips.
No, Philips. There was a Philips factory near my house when I grew up in Tennessee.
I could have sworn they were founded in like.
I thought they were. Maybe they're. Huh.
I thought they were like Danish or Dutch or something. Am I totally? Hang on.
This makes me want to do a podcast that's just like delving into the corporate history of these major companies that we all know and have like.
Yeah, they're Dutch.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. Founded
wooden shoes, tulips, and light bulbs.
I guess so. To be close, so I guess they have a whole range of these things. I'm not actually sure which model I have, and it was a little more expensive than you would think for what is probably just a very bright blue LED.
Okay.
They've got a whole range of these things, and to be clear, they are not Hue related. They are not part of the Philips Hue line at all.
Okay.
This is completely 100% a different use case from that. The one I've got is a little like it's got a little flip out like kickstand to sit up on your desk, and it's just a rechargeable like massively like insanely bright blue light, like the same general tone of blue you get from the sun, or from the sky. And it's supposed to be like a mood enhancing thing, an energy providing sort of thing.
This is the thing that my former Scandinavian coworkers had told me about, like the SAD light. Seasonal affective disorder light.
It wasn't labeled that way to me, but I'm sure it is absolutely a seasonal affective kind of not cure, but you know, like a kind of treatment sort of thing.
Yeah.
But God, what was I going to say? Oh, this was, like when the idea was first proposed to me, it's, you know, I kind of had a lingering suspicion of it being kind of woo-ish, you know,
New
it's
age
like
quackery.
Kind of. But at the same time, like, every device on the market practically now, an operating system has some sort of like night light, night shift type feature, right? Like I think that the cognitive effects of blue and warmer light are pretty well understood at this point, right?
I was at Ord Camp one year and was in the line to have dinner. I didn't know the people around me. And when I'm in the line to have a meal there, I always introduce myself because the people there are fucking amazing usually. And the guy that was behind me that I ended up talking to all the way through the dinner line is the person who made Flux.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. I was an avid Flux user until I see. Actually, maybe I'm misremembering. I feel like I remember there was a little bit of bitterness that everybody just came in and replicated Flux. He had the idea, he did it first, and then every operating system on the planet just kind of took the idea and ran with it.
As he said, he was pretty confident in his ability to maintain a product because this was around the time Apple rolled it into OS 10.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm pretty sure we can maintain a product on top of what they're doing. But yeah, no, doesn't feel great.
Yeah. Anyway, like, it's people understand how that stuff works, basically.
Yeah. He was like, there's real actual science behind this. It isn't just woo.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And I can tell you from experience, the cognitive effects of this thing are profound. They're pronounced.
Okay. That sounds pretty good.
So it's like the idea is basically it's supposed to make you feel more energetic, more upbeat. It's supposed to just kind of lift your mood a bit. But like the most obvious kind of like empirical example I can give is, I don't know if it's the intensity of the light or the specific temperature or both. For one thing, I can only run it on the absolute lowest setting. Any higher than that is like blinding.
When you turned it on, it made your webcam go like a 60s cartoon where they inverted the colors or something. It was bonkers.
It's like the surface of the sun in here.
It's really bright.
Nothing on. But what I was going to say is you have to be pretty careful about how long you use it, and especially when you use it.
Okay.
When I first got it, I was like, I just need to turn it on at some point during the day, right? Like whenever. Also for however long I want, right? So like maybe the second day I had it, I turned it on for like 45 minutes at about 7:30. 7:30 at night. I was up till like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like it was like worse than any like pot of coffee I have ever chugged.
Well, that's like, unusual for you because you're usually in bed by like 9:30.
We go to bed super early around here, and like I could not sleep, man. My mind was just racing. Like I could not believe how much that interfered with my sleep pattern to use it that late. So
have you ever used it during Extra Life?
No, I haven't done Extra Life since I've had it. I've only had it for a couple of years.
Okay.
And it's been a while since I did. Well, we've been doing Extra Life in the office for the last 2-3 years. So I haven't done like a 24-hour at home for a while, but that would be like, dude,
guess what, Brad?
That is like, that almost feels like cheating at Extra Life if you just turn that thing on at like midnight, 1 in the morning.
Yeah, like the 3 o'clock in the morning drag when you're there and you're like, oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah, so like it will absolutely keep you awake at night if you use it too late. And I even found I can't use it for more than like 10, maybe 15 minutes max, even in the mornings, because I actually feel myself starting to get jittery, like over amped, kind of over anxious.
This is like when I leave it on for too long. When Superman's almost dead and like Wonder Woman carries him up above the cloud layer so that he sees the sun again and he comes back to life.
Right. It's kind of like it works. You just have to be judicious with its use because it can get on top of you.
It's
if you let it go for too long.
It's funny you say this because like I definitely remember doing Oktobercasts in the old whiskey basement, and at like 6 o'clock in the morning when the sun would come up, I would take the headphones off and walk over to the front door and go out the front door and just stand and face the east for like 5 or 10 minutes, and you'd like be good to go.
It works.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It definitely works. The brain is a strange thing.
Well, I'll have to go outside today. That sounds nice.
Yeah. So I would think there have to be probably cheaper like DIY solutions to this if you want. I'm sure you could Google some up. I haven't looked, but the one I got, this Philips, I'm not sure if it's part of the Go Light series. Just Google Philips Blue Light. You'll see a bunch of examples, but they're kind of pricey.
Okay. What's kind of pricey? Like $100 or like?
I think this one was 80 or 100, something like that. So it's like not nothing for what you're getting.
It's presumably a lot of very bright LEDs.
Yes, it is very much that. But it's rechargeable. It's very convenient. And I've had a pretty good experience with it. So there's that.
Cool.
Let's see.
What else you got? You got more tricks here? More woo?
You mentioned meditation.
Yeah, I like a meditation.
I do have one app that I'm with you. Like every app I have looked at, left something to be desired in one way or another. If nothing else, they just seemed very expensive for what you were getting.
Well, I mean, so the one that I liked was like $20 a month or something, which was like I could just pay for a real meditation class for that.
That's kind of insane. You tell me. I don't know. That seems like a lot.
That I didn't pay for it.
That wasn't Headspace by any chance, was it?
It was Headspace, yeah.
Yeah, Headspace seems like the one that I see advertised the most, which makes me assume it's the biggest.
Well, I mean, look, if they've figured out what their user acquisition cost versus their revenue per user, they know their beta versus their ARPU, then they can advertise. They can afford to advertise, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I liked Headspace. The last time I used Headspace, I think I signed up for the free trial when I had to drive to Portland for something. And I literally was on the way back. I was about to fall asleep in the car driving, and I pulled over at a rest stop and put my headphones on and put a Headspace on and like tilted my driver's seat chair back and rested. And then like 15 people tapped on the window of the car wanting to know if I wanted to pay for sex. And that was not the most comfortable moment. But then I meditated for like 20 minutes and was fine for the last 4 hours of the drive home or whatever.
That's great. I'm sure it's a fine app. I doubt there's anything wrong with it. It's just that it's kind of pricey for.
I was just say it is free, at least last I saw it, may be over now, but they were giving a lot of time free during the quarantine.
That's cool.
The shut-in period, which was nice.
That's good. The one that I have found and stuck with, although to be clear, I'm terrible about sticking with meditation in general.
Yeah.
Like every time I get into a good routine with it, it's like, man, why don't I do this all the time? This is amazing. I feel so much better.
And then you take 2 days off.
And then I promptly make it 3-4 weeks and then stop again. And it's terrible. But taking care of yourself is a lot of work.
It's hard.
You have to exercise some discipline.
And there's so many other interesting things to do instead is the thing.
Yeah. I'm pecking away at the console window on my NAS. Probably not helping my mental health though. It's probably the opposite.
I spent like an hour last night working on a case for the Mister.
That sounds like a fun project.
It is a fun project. Like
are you designing it yourself?
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to buy the USB board. I might, but I bought one of those $7 maker spot hubs.
Yeah.
Hubs.
If you got one of those, you're probably good.
Well, so the problem is 4 ports, and I think I'm going to, so I bought extender cables, and I want to make like a flat long, like a 8-inch by 5-inch, maybe with some wooden, like opaque black acrylic box with USB on the front, 4 USB ports on the front.
That sounds great.
And then HDMI, Ethernet, and power on the back.
And then mount the boards to just the bottom of the case.
And mount the boards to the bottom of the case. And I have these, you can get extenders with screws. So I'll hold it up, but it's like a USB, like you can get USB ports that have, there.
Oh, that's perfect.
So you just mount them up flush with the back, and I'm just having to measure the holes and figure out where the holes go and all that stuff. And that kind of stuff is really satisfying for me. But then if it takes too long, then either I fall off of working on it, which is what usually happens, or like I get frustrated and move on to something else.
I'm sure like many people, you have a graveyard of abandoned projects.
I mean, I usually come back. I'm usually pretty good about coming back to them. My rule is if I don't spend money on stuff until I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it.
Okay, that's good. Cool.
Because otherwise I would spend a fuckload of money on stuff that just ends up piled up in the garage and thrown out next time I clean the garage. But yeah, so this one, I kind of got to a point last night where I was like, maybe I should just buy the USB board, because it would be really nice to have Bluetooth, like have 4 USB ports and Bluetooth, rather than just having 3 USB ports and Bluetooth.
Well, what are you doing with USB ports?
Plugging in
just
like the
controllers,
8-bit DOE controllers or PS4 DualShocks or whatever.
Yeah, I mean 4 ports is like you could have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and 2 controllers. Feels like a good. I don't know. Maybe unless you're planning to do some 4-player stuff at some point. But
so I don't need Wi-Fi because I have Ethernet in the all the places I would use this, I think.
Like I'm with you. Like instinctually, I feel like 4 ports, no way. Like that's nowhere near enough. But then when realistically, I'm trying to think like what I would plug into a Mister with USB, and I can't come up with much besides those 4.
like probably the most most people I would have playing is 3 would be my guess. And
Right.
I only have 3 like classic key controllers. Because I have the Genesis 8-bit DOE one and then 2 of the SNES pads.
Yeah. Also, you could just daisy chain a hub into the front of the case, right? If you needed more controllers.
Oh, I could do that. That's a good point. Yeah,
So-
and then I could run the hub up, like put an extension on the hub and run the hub. That's probably the solution.
Yeah.
Is that because then the hub can sit in front of the couch and we don't all have to sit on the floor if we want to use wired controller. But like I was testing Bluetooth yesterday and I don't know that I really need any I mean I definitely need a USB port in case something jacks up, the Bluetooth gets jacked up. But like, and I need to actually plug something in, like a keyboard or a mouse or a gamepad to control the scripts and stuff. But yeah,
Sure.
Anyway, that's like I do projects usually, and it's with mixed results, I guess.
So I guess you're not getting out of the house much. Do you have a heatsink for your Mister yet? I've still got that one. I was gonna. Oh, you already got one?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Well, it came. My Portuguese RAM came. So did I tell you? Did we talk about this last week?
I saw you on Discord talking about it.
So I sent the guy a note about
flush with RAM.
I sent the guy a note 2 weeks ago, Ricardo, who was awesome. He was like super helpful. He was like, well, I can go ahead and send another one out. And then if the first one shows up, you can just like, next time I get a customer near you, I'll get you to put it in the mail to him. Right. Which I was like, that's very cool.
That's a nice way to move it forward. Sure.
I thought so. And I was like, you know what, rather than do that, let's just, if it doesn't show up this week, let's cancel it. And I'll just buy it from someplace in the US because everybody's in stock now. He's like, okay, that sounds good too. So I wait until the end of the week and I'm like, fuck, it's not here yet. I order from Mr. Add-ons, which is in like New York someplace.
Maryland, I think, isn't it?
Memory board.
Mr. Add-ons?
Yeah, they're the East Coast.
Maryland, I think.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So Maryland. I get the order in. I get the shipment notification the next morning, and about 45 minutes after I get the shipment notification, Ricardo is like, "Hey, your tracking number has popped up and is working now." So it's probably going to be there in a couple of days. And I was like, "Oh shit!" And literally, one came on Monday and the other one came on Tuesday. So
nice. Wow.
Who's the asshole here?
Oh boy. Yeah. Man, you just said, well, you got spare RAM now.
Like when that N64 core comes online, you need 2 sticks of RAM. I'm good to go, baby.
Yeah, I haven't seen an update on that in a while, but the talk has been that there's a possibility that very well may be the case.
PSX core looking pretty good these days.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Yeah,
so maybe hang on to that RAM.
Yeah, I don't know.
You've got blue RAM and red RAM now.
I do. If somebody needs RAM and they live in the Bay Area, let me know and we can make a deal.
Cut a deal.
I can. I know somebody.
Yeah. Anyway, all that said, Insight Timer is the name of the meditation app that I use.
Oh,
it's kind of a weird name for an app about meditation because it doesn't say anything. It doesn't sound like meditation at all, right?
Do you get insights from it?
I guess. So it is. It's almost like a meditation marketplace. Like Headspace is a guy, right? Isn't it one dude?
It's unclear to me.
Maybe there are other teachers now, but I feel like a couple of years ago when I looked at it, it was just the one guy.
Yeah, I think Headspace is funded. I think there's a team of people working on the app, but I only heard the one person.
I'm guiding the meditations. I mean, right? That's what I meant. I'm sure there are people that work on the app.
Yeah, but I think it's venture funded. It's a pretty big thing.
Right. But it's just the one guy providing the lessons or whatever. This, as far as I can tell, like any teacher can get on this thing. Like it's.
Oh,
when you open the app, it is just a full on like storefront of people selling their meditation exercises.
That's cool.
But it's a full on like self-contained little social networky thing, where you can follow different teachers, you can like different episodes or not episodes or lessons or whatever you want to call them. It does have a pretty robust like timer and tracker kind of thing built into it, where it'll track like to the second like how long you've meditated.
How does it know that I wasn't cheating?
Per day, per week? You could. You have, like I said, it's a lot of work to take care of yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable. If you want to cheat this thing, look, you're only cheating yourself, man.
Look, if I can't cheat myself, who can I cheat?
That's fair. That's fair. With a beard like that.
Yeah, I need to get it braided once before we move on from this.
Yeah. But I'm also a lot of it is free. Like it's free to download and there are free lessons, so you can get a good feel for how it works before you start putting money into it. I think they say it's like a 50-50 revenue split with the creators, teachers. So I don't know how that compares to the industry standard. I guess that's better than a lot now that I think about it.
50-50 is really good, I would
That's
think.
not bad, right? Like
Yeah,
at first
like
I was like,
usually-
man, that sounds low for the people providing the content. But on the other hand, it's like 30-70 for most, right?
It's worse than something like Patreon, which basically just charges credit card fees plus a small
Right.
processing fee, or
Right.
Crowd Tilt or one of those.
Yeah.
It's more than almost anybody else that has like your YouTube split, your Twitch split, your
App Store, like software, Steam.
Yeah, most stuff
anything
is 70-30.
Right. So
Not in
anyway,
favor of the sorry, 30% to the platform and 70%. Yeah, maybe it isn't as good.
Oh,
then.
wait, no, you're right. I had that backwards.
Yeah.
It is 70% to the creator, right?
Usually.
Okay, so maybe
it depends.
50-50 isn't, maybe 50-50 is not so great.
Yeah, no,
I don't
now
know.
that we talk about this, I'm glad we had a conversation.
This is what happens when we record at 7:30 in the morning. Anyway, yeah, it's like I said, it's free to download. You can check it out, but there's just a really wide range of people offering a very wide range of different styles. I guess I would say, like there's kind of religious tinged stuff. There's like more standard self-affirmation type stuff. A lot of like body scan, like physical type. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know how much you know about the practice of meditation, but
So I mostly do like the clear your mind of all thoughts thing.
yeah. Yes,
That's the
just
one I like.
full, just the full on focus
Yeah.
on your breathing, clear
Yeah.
your mind. I don't
Yeah.
know what we're not exactly like cognitive scientists around here or anything, but like what the term is for just kind of excising conscious thought. I'm having a hard time getting. I lack the language to get this point across or to articulate what I'm trying to talk about here.
Yeah.
But I see it talked about also with like playing music or painting or things that require like a
entering,
singular
When you enter
Like,
that flow state.
flow state, flow art kind of.
Yeah.
That, I guess that's the most common like jargon I've seen around this concept. But like things where you're like focusing in mentally on a practice, on a repetitive motion or action or creative process.
It's
And
also
like the anxious, the like voice in your head kind of constant treadmill sort of just like peels off,
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean, it's about finding a way to devote 100% of your attention to something.
Right.
Is the flow state idea?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it a lot when Tetris Effect was new because that the whole point of that game
Yes.
is Miz is trying to induce flow state in people.
Yes.
But it's funny. We talk about it on Still Entitled a lot in terms of like the shop jam, shop like. If you're in a shop, there's always work to do that's like the mindless work that requires a fair amount of concentration, but you can kind of get in the zone and just like sorting screw like almost every shop I've ever been in has a bucket that you put in all the loose screws that you've pulled out and didn't put back into the right bins when you were done with them. And like going through and sorting that stuff and putting it where it goes is a really good example of like dealing with that mental log jam kind of stuff. So
Right. Like it seems like that kind of action seems very mundane and repetitive.
yeah,
But actually doing it seems pretty beneficial to me.
it's like mowing where you're trying to like exactly line up with the next track with the previous track so that you have exactly the right amount of overlap. Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
So anyway, Insight Timer is the name of that app. It's free to download, and the meditation, I think, especially in these times, is pretty helpful. And this is a good way to get started and find some teachers that you like. Like I said, there's everything from like they're like Buddhist monks that deliver lessons on there, and like just the kind of full range of different types of content.
I like that it's different kinds of meditation too, because that Headspace app is mostly just it's basically just the mindfulness meditation where you're like, hey, clear your mind of all thoughts, focus on your breathing, yada yada.
There's definitely like a bulk of pure mindfulness type stuff on here, but there's a bunch that are specifically meant to induce sleep.
Okay,
I'm scrolling through it right now. A bunch of breathing,
get, like
techniques.
David Lynch to lead you in transcendental meditation.
Oh man, that I would pay for.
You know his policy, right?
No,
he never takes interviews about his films, but anybody who wants to talk to him about transcendental meditation, he'll talk to. I'm
the door's
serious.
always open. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe
David
we should
Lynch
see if
is
we get him on the podcast.
David Lynch is a national treasure.
I would love to have like if we were talking about two directors, I would love to talk to about literally any topic. It's like David Lynch and John Waters are probably number one and number two.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. I could see it. Do you think David Lynch would talk about growing his hair out?
Yeah, and yeah. I mean, I hear that he can probably feel the hair grow because of the transcendental meditation.
Yes. John Waters, from every interview I've read, is also a heck of a character.
John Waters, anytime somebody who's good at doing interviews does an interview with John Waters, I get so excited because he's such a delightful weirdo.
Yes.
And it's entertaining. And he reached the stage about 20 years ago where he just stopped giving any fucks what anybody thought about him and was just like, you know what? I'm just going to tell people what I think. And he's a wonderful human being.
Yes.
Or seems to be. I don't know. He may be a real dirtbag, but anyway.
I guess the only other app I've got is, let's see, as I open it on my iPad, I guess it's just called 7 Minutes now. 7 minutes. So you go into the basement, you find a closet, you take one other person that's at the party in there with you.
Yes. 7 minutes. You turn on the app.
7 minutes in exercise heaven.
Oh, yeah. Was this based on that New York Times workout thing from a few years ago?
Yeah. So I don't know who is that. Is that who came up with it? I thought it was like some government fitness or health agency or something. I thought this came out of like science and research, not a newspaper.
I think it did. I think the whole point of it was we want to come up with like exercises you can do in like, how can we turn the normal 45-minute workout into or 30-minute workout into less than 10 minutes?
It's definitely that philosophy of let's cut out all the rest breaks and just do a high intensity.
Yeah.
Interval situation.
6-minute abs.
6 minutes, sure. Something like that. I'm Googling it right now. Okay, yeah, there is something on the New York Times from 2013. Maybe that's where it was publicized. The Scientific 7-Minute Workout is the name of this article. Let me take a look. Yeah, this is exactly it. It's jumping jacks, wall sits, push-ups, abdominal crunches, step-ups onto a chair, squats, tricep dips on chair, planks, excuse me, high knees running in place, lunges, push-ups and rotations, and side planks. That is exactly it.
This isn't going to give you like aerobic stuff. This is just going to, I mean, it gives you a little bit of aerobic stuff.
There's some. It's not my understanding of like cardiovascular fitness is like longer is better, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of situation where you do need time to get the full effect, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where you need to go on a walk or a jog or something like that.
So like this is not a catch-all. Like you probably want to supplement it with some more extended cardio, but especially in these particular times when it's kind of not great to go outside a lot.
Yeah, that seems good.
I've found like you can do this pretty easily in a relatively small apartment like ours. You just need some hand weights and some space to do like jumping jacks and push-ups and stuff.
A little bit of a wall, a little bit of free wall somewhere.
Yes, you need a wall to sit against. Now that I think about it, when you put it that way, like you certainly don't need the specific app that I have. Mine, because now I'm searching on the App Store and there's a ton of them out there. But this one has like the basic one that I just rattled off, like the scientific one is free.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
It's just, it's got computer lady voice and it just prompts you. It's basically 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off for each of those exercises. So you do 30 seconds of one, you get 10-second rest, and then you do the next one.
That sounds good.
This just prompts you for those, it just calls out like all the timings for, rests. Okay, now do push-ups, that kind of thing. There's a bunch of, I'm scrolling through here. I mean, they've got a bunch of like more specifics. They have 7-minute cardio, 7-minute core, 7-minute booty.
Is that where you get the pirate's treasure?
Yes, I'm sure that's exactly the booty that they're talking about. Yes, you do your 7 minutes and you find a chest of gold doubloons at the end.
Sweet.
I don't know how much these cost. $20 to unlock everything in this particular app forever, which is you can customize the workouts so you can make them longer or like increase the number of repetitions or whatever. But this one is made by, I'm never going to find it.
We'll just post a link in the show notes.
Yeah. If you just Google, or not Google, but like this is on iOS. If you just go in the App Store and search like 7-minute workout, you were sure to find it. It's got an orange icon with a big 7 on it. But yeah, like that's this kind of stuff that I've been trying to hold myself to and doing a very poor job of it. But like blue light, meditation and exercise.
I was doing
very important maintenance stuff.
These are good. This is good advice. I was early in the pandemic. I was doing probably 30 minutes of like pistol whip or Beat Saber almost every day, probably 5 days a week. And I felt really spectacular. Like it sounds goofy, but like Beat Saber with like some 2-pound wrist weights gets your heart going.
Oh, I bet.
And Pistol Whip is like secret lunge exercise, right? Because like when you get on the higher levels of Pistol Whip, like if you just do the low level stuff, you'll never notice. But if you do the high level stuff, it's a lot of like whole body left, whole body right, whole body left, whole body down, whole body up kind of stuff to get around the obstacles in the path. And they've been doing a really good job of rolling out new maps. Both Beat Saber and Pistol Whip have like looked at how people are using it to exercise and are making the newer songs much more exercisey, not necessarily more difficult, but more like movement on the player's part. And I like one day I played Pistol Whip until my legs were so tired they weren't working.
Wow.
Like I've never in my life wanted to do lunges longer than I had to do lunges, but based on who was yelling at me to do lunges at the moment. So it was a new thing for me.
I started to ask if you have an exercise headset of choice, but is that just the Quest by default? For obvious reasons. I
actually I like the Vive, the Index best for exercise. Really? Wow. I got closed cell face. I always get closed cell face masks for headsets so that they don't absorb sweat and get.
That was my next really question. Was how do you deal with the sweating?
Yeah.
What are those exactly?
So they're like it's like a closed cell foam with a soft fake leather, soft neoprene or something on the outside usually. VR cover makes the ones that I usually buy, and it's usually like $15 or $20 for two of them. So they don't last forever, but because the foam gets squished down eventually. But they do better with the moisture than the default cloth or soft foam ones that come on most headsets.
Is this a full replacement for the cushion on the headset, or is it an insert that goes in between?
So you can get ones that are inserts that you would use at like a trade show or something like that you just like that are like stick on.
Okay.
But the ones that I use at home are full replacements. So those things are, I think on the Index, they're magneted in place, but on most of the other headsets, there's just like Velcro and you can peel them off and then stick new ones back on.
What is it about the Index that you like better for exercise? Like I would assume that just by the lack of cords with the Quest by default would trump everything else in terms of being able to move around. But
well, so with Beat Saber and Pistol Whip, you don't really do a whole lot of, I mean, there are now turning levels for Beat Saber, but if I want to exercise, it's not what I play. So you're standing in one place facing one direction, so the cord doesn't matter.
Okay.
And the thing about the Index is the headset is balanced better. So like they actually put extra weight in the back of that thing so that it's not as front heavy and doesn't like constantly pull your head down toward the front.
Interesting.
Which when you're moving around a lot actually makes a difference, I feel like.
Sure.
The other thing is that the Quest often, like, for me, the performance, the 120 hertz that you get in those games is much more comfortable to my eyes than the Quest's slower frame rate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Would you consider? I mean, I know you're not an exercise therapist or whatever, but at least as far as I'm aware. But
I am not an exercise therapist at all. No, that is correct.
Would you consider? I mean, like I still need to play through Half-Life Alyx. Would you consider just a standard game like that you play standing, but it doesn't emphasize like repetitive, specific movements? It's much more random and kind of like up and down in terms of your activity level. But would you still consider that like some degree of valid exercise? I
mean, you're standing, right? Like you're going to get more. It's
like even standing is good for you, of course. But
yeah, so when I went to Valve and played for 10 hours over a day and a half, my legs were sore the next day just from standing and like just squatting down and bending over and picking stuff up constantly. It's like, it's, you know how you clean out the garage and you get sore. You're tired after cleaning out the garage because you're doing stuff that you don't normally do. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Like, I don't think you're not getting aerobic exercise or anything like that, but like you're definitely moving around more than you are sitting in front of your computer playing Borderlands or whatever.
Sure. Some amount of resistance is happening.
Yeah.
Just against gravity, if nothing else.
And honestly, like the way the gravity glove works in that game, like my arm, like just the pullback motion that you do, that thing, like my arm was a little, like not sore, but I definitely felt it the next day a little bit.
Is that like tennis elbow, gravity gun arm?
No, it was just like it's a quick motion that you stop. So like you're using both sides of the muscles and like in ways that I don't normally use them. So
sure.
Yeah. Hey, this is completely off topic and a non sequitur, but Have you seen the Nintendo Game Boy hacking? Are you aware of the hacking scene around that?
Oh yeah, it's wild,
dude.
There's
I
some
had
crazy stuff going on in there.
I had no idea that people were like basically like replacing boards and replacing screens and
oh yeah, there's a big aftermarket case scene for that thing.
Yeah, like building metal cases and stuff for it.
There's a lot of nice plastic replacement cases, but yeah, people are machining actual metal cases for their Game Boy Advances. I don't see a lot of the hinged models being replicated because obviously that's a lot more complicated mechanically.
Yeah.
But I've seen like the original horizontal model Game Boy Advance. I've seen like nice metal machined cases made for that. And the screen mod stuff is like the focal point of all that stuff, right?
Yeah, like
making a better looking, more responsive, better lit screen for the Game Boy is like kind of the thing there.
Putting like a really nice IPS backlit screen on a Game Boy SP, GBA SP.
Yeah.
This seems like a really lovely thing to do.
Yeah, I don't know where that stuff is at. I was looking at it over the last couple of years, and as of about a year ago, there were issues with like vertical tearing and latency on some of those screens. Like they had not quite dialed in the whole pipeline.
Okay,
and I don't know enough about the electronics to say why exactly, but I think they're getting there.
Huh?
Like the last IPS model screen I saw come out had some disclaimers about like, they're this and this are not ideal on this thing, but it's better.
So, I found out about this because there was a Wired article a couple of days ago, and it looks like nobody's talking about that on the subreddit. So I assume that there's probably some stuff on some stuff.
Like I said, this has been a while, so there very well may be better models out there now. I've never seen one in person. Peter Brown at GameSpot, when he's no longer at GameSpot, so I don't have the option anymore. But he had done some of these mods, and I meant to take a look at his firsthand just to get a good sense of them, and never got around to it.
I think,
but even all the pictures I've seen of them, like I've seen side by sides of like, here's my old Game Boy Advance sitting right next to this new IPS mod I just did, and like even in photos, the difference is striking. Like it looks incredible,
so bright. Because like the screen thing that I put on my GBA, my first sideways GBA, was probably the first thing I ever like took apart and changed, rather than taking like I took apart stuff and cleaned contacts and stuff before that, but like taking it apart and having to carve out bits of the plastic to put the backlight kit on, or the front light kit on.
Was that the afterburner?
Yeah, the afterburner was terrifying. I was afraid I was going to jack that thing up.
Sure.
And yeah, like it's cool to see people still doing this. I had no idea. So.
Yeah, from what I've seen, like the difference in just like richness and saturation of the colors, like the depth of the blacks, like it is an incredible difference. Like it's.
Well, there we go.
Granted, I don't have any desire to sit around playing an actual Game Boy.
They're really uncomfortable to hold. The GBA, the first GBA was maybe the most comfortable handheld.
Yeah, I think sure.
Like,
yeah, sure. I think so.
Like, I guess the Switch with the grippy nubs on the corners is pretty good.
Yeah,
but like. In terms of the old days, the GBA was pretty okay.
Yes.
Anyway, I guess that's a show.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks
take care of yourselves, everybody.
Yeah. Let's before we go, let's thank our patrons who help make the show possible every single week. Thank you all for supporting the show. And thanks for one of the high points in every day remains going and looking at the Patreon, at the Discord, and seeing all the brilliant people who are choosing to spend their time chatting with us every month, which is awesome. Or every day.
Thank you folks so much for being here.
And extra special thanks to our executive producer level patrons. That's David Allen, Andrew Cotton, Jacob Chappell, and Kurt Brownridge. Thank you all so much. And thanks everybody who supports the show. If you would like to find out how to support the Tech Pod, you can go to patreon.com/techpod, or, just tell your friends. For $2, you can get access to the Discord, and Brad and I do a monthly patron-only show at the $5 tier. So I guess that's it for us. Thanks, everybody. See you all next week. Bye.